All right, SOFI update here on the 31st. Haven't done a video in a while. I missed the earnings video, but nice pop. That was one of the options going into earnings. It actually played out pretty well here. You had a pullback right here, and then on earnings popped all the way up here to 25 bucks. And then it just came straight back down here to 20.50. And I think that that is more than likely the sign that we have finished 5 waves. The market would have to continue going higher for this to continue to go higher. The fact that it dropped basically 20 to 25% in a couple hours right after earnings, after the pop, also makes it likely that that was a short-term top. So if we go to the weekly time frame here, I think you can see it better actually on the 2-day. I think it's likely that this was actually a wave 1, wave 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I had talked about that in previous videos. I was looking at nested moves, and that didn't really work out because we were already at like a wave 3 right here, and then we went crazy higher like that. So at that point, kind of discount that count. And this is a very shallow wave 2. But again, if we draw a parallel line here, you'll see it does make a lot of sense. It crosses right there. We come back down with this red candle down to 1970, and then we drop, or we come up here to 25 bucks. If we take the length of wave 1, it basically hit the top of this, basically. So that's right around the area that I was talking about in previous videos as one of the options, around 26 bucks. It didn't quite get to 26. And I think that is a very, very small chance that this just goes straight up here and breaks the high again. So I think we're in consolidation mode. I think the overall market is about to be in consolidation mode as well. I'm not looking for that big of a drop in the overall market. I'm looking potentially at like a 10% drop. So, I mean, it could go down to 5,300 too, SPX. But I think there's a very good chance this comes down to 5,700 as well. So you're looking at about a 10% drop to potentially a 15% drop. So what does that mean for SOFI? It still means that there's two different counts we're looking at. We're looking at this as either being wave 1, overall wave 1 right here. This would be a diagonal. Or this could be the nested wave 3. It didn't quite get to the 1.61 fib. But as long as it comes down here and does not break into 1850, this would be the invalidation right here. So as long as it goes like this, which it already hit that area, so it could turn into being a flat if that were the case. I would say, though, that I am leaning towards it being a wave 1. I'm leaning towards it being a wave 1 just because that just makes more sense overall for how big of a move this was. And we don't have to come all the way down here to 11.24. This is a weekly demand zone. There's that gap down here. I said previously a wave 2 would go down there, and it's possible. But it could just come all the way back down here to just 1477. That's kind of like my minimum wave 2 spot that I'd be looking at. So this would be wave 2 overall. And then you're looking up here at 38 bucks for a wave 3. And then you'd be looking for a wave 4, pullback. I'll just go ahead and do the fibs here. Let's just say it pulls back to 32 bucks. And then we'll add wave 1 onto that and just see what we get. you'd be looking at 55 bucks on SOFI. Right up here. Ignore this one. This would be wave 5. So that's one of the patterns that I'm looking for. So you'd be looking down here at about 1477 for a ABC move. So something like that. And I'd be looking for this probably over the next 3 to 4 months, going into the end of the year. Maybe as early as like November, maybe into next earnings actually, if this were to happen. And then I'd be looking for 2026 to be a huge year. I think that's when Noto is supposed to get his the bonuses. So I don't know, is $38 enough to get that bonus, or what was the? I don't know what the number was. But wave 3, I'd be looking for 38 bucks. Wave 4, and then 54 bucks overall. So that's one scenario. The second scenario I'm looking for, again, would just be something like this. So this would end up being 1, 2, 3. We'd pull back here. We've already pulled back to 2050 though. I don't think this one makes as much sense. But it's possible that it just goes. It's possible that this just goes like that, goes down here, and eventually just comes down here maybe to like 19 bucks. But yeah, you see how the timing doesn't really make that much sense. It already dropped down here to 2050 from 25 bucks. So I don't like that one as much. I do think the wave 2 makes more sense if the S&P is going to drop 10%, 10 to 15%. I think that SOFI can drop down here to 1477. Let's take a look at where the gaps are at in the chart. So you have a gap down here at 1927. You have a small gap at 1542, small gap at 1409, and then this big gap here at 1144 that I've been talking about. So we'll see how it goes. Let's look at the moving averages here. So you do have this movie. They have the 20 all the way down here, kind of around the target I'm talking about right here. Look how extended we are right now. The 20 on the weekly is down here around that area. On the daily, if it loses the 20, you don't have anything until 14 bucks as well. So yeah, out of these two, I gotta lean towards the wave 2 down to 14, 15 bucks. Possibly all the way down here to this area right here. So we'll see which one happens. Is it possible that this goes and makes new highs? And there's an alt count here. If it were to make new highs, that would be a very, very tricky fourth wave. That would be ABC, ABC, C wave right here. And then this would end up having to go higher here. Just take off from here because you had a nice spike right here today all the way up here to 2380, and then it just fell off and closed at 2258. So I would not really want to see this come back down here to 22 bucks if it's going to make this move higher. But I've looked at the GEX, the max move, it hit that max move right on earnings. So I don't expect this to take out the highs. And I think that likely this is just a retracement for either a wave 2, or it could just be an ABC as well. It could just be a something like that. And then we retrace back here, and then we go down lower. So there's a lot of different possibilities for how we can retrace down here to 15 bucks. But I would say that's probably my number one scenario, is down in this area and then hit 38 bucks. And then number 2 scenario, which I don't really like, is this is a nested wave 3. And we come down here to probably just 19 or 20 bucks. But again, we dropped 5 bucks in a few hours. So I think it's more likely we come all the way down here. Anyway, it might be kind of controversial because a lot of people can't believe it. When we're this extended, they can't believe that a drop could even happen in the market, and I think that's where we're at right now. I don't think anybody can even imagine. They've lost sight of how this played out right here. We went from 1840 to 850 in 2 months. So we dropped 60% in 2 months. And then we rose 200% in 3 months, 3.5 months. So it's not going to be surprising if we drop to 14 bucks. That's only going to be a 40% drop. So I would definitely be expecting that. It is possible that we do this though as well. So we'll see how it goes. Those are the two scenarios I see. And again, making new highs from here, I think is very unlikely, but possible. So we'll see which one plays out. I'm really expecting the overall market to be pretty much topped out as well. So we'll see what happens. That's the update for today. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Do you think that we are going to continue going up, or do you think it's more likely that we start falling and retracing a little bit? Again, I've shown this in the past. We're sitting at 4 standard deviations when it hit 25 bucks. Every time it's gone up like this, it's retraced to the bottom of this range. 14 bucks would be kind of in the middle of this range. That gap down here at 11 would be at the very bottom of the range. So keep that in mind. We'll see what happens. That's it for this update. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe for more updates, and I'll catch you in the next video.